Pertama, terima kasih banyak untuk undangan. The current condition, clearly we are seeing that the mutual fund industry is stagnating because most of the retail population today is moving more towards trading mentality. So there is a lot of interest in speculative trading. Then there is a lot of interest in the last 2 years towards crypto as well. So there is the entire millennial population has moved towards more trading and speculative investment opportunity. So I think this is a very, very important time in our industry evolution where we need to spend more time in terms of financial literacy and get back all the young population into mainstream investment, which is what the products and services that we offer. So clearly there is a lot of opportunity, but I think we need to ensure that we are bringing the new millennials into the fold of regular mainstream product category. Very interesting question. So I think clearly the number of players in the market versus the size of the AUM that we are managing today. Clearly in Indonesia, we have too many players. Kira-kira 86 players are offering mutual fund today. So the industry doesn't have the bargaining power, correct? So the institution has more bargaining power, the distributor has more bargaining power, but the investment manager does not have the bargaining power. Whereas if you look at countries like Malaysia, Thailand, they only have 20-30 perusahaan involved in mutual fund business. Even country like India, which is like 10 kali besar in terms of AUM, they only have 30 perusahaan, and there is a talk of consolidation taking place. Simply because this business is a scale business, so we need to build a scale so that we can offer the right product and services. And there is nothing wrong between local or foreign. It all depends upon even though we are foreign, everybody is Indonesian in the company. I consider myself almost setengah Indonesian, being outside India for 25 tahun, you understand now. So but only thing is, what we try to do is we are trying to bring in the best practices and our knowledge from the global market to see how we can provide differentiated product and services, and that is where we feel we can deliver the competitive advantage. One example I can tell you, the nasabah is bored because it is the same saham, it is the same obligasi. So how do you differentiate between 86 player, you understand? No? So that is the biggest issue. So a person like us, principal, so for example, we have just launched a product called ASEAN Equity Fund. So we are the only player who is able to bring that offshore investment capability to Indonesians, simply because we also want to provide the diversification, right? So that there is an opportunity for them to enjoy the benefit of ASEAN, investing in ASEAN, you know. So we are looking for pockets of opportunity so that we can bring something that is not available in the market, so that we can add that value to the market. That is where we are focusing on. So from my perspective, I just want to take a step back and look at what is the problem that we are having today, okay? The problem we have in the industry is we have 10 million new investors. Still the AUM has not gone. And there are 20 million potentially investors who have invested in cryptos and other speculative instruments, and they have lost hundreds of trillions, correct? So our responsibility is, how do we help these people to get into mainstream institution, get into mainstream investment solution, invest for the long term and achieve their life goals. This is the objective that we have today. Unfortunately, if you really look at 20 years ago, the mutual fund industry was growing very well, correct? What was the reason behind that? The reason behind that was we had a good tax advantage on the bond instrument, correct? So we incentivize the public to come through these institutions and build their wealth, and it supported the industry. Today, we are not able to capture that because we lost that particular advantage. So if we really believe we need to guide the society to invest through mainstream institution, mainstream investment, we need to incentivize them. That would be the best thing that we can do, so that we can guide all these youths to favor these right investment asset classes. That would be the number one criteria. The number two criteria is purely on the equity fund, correct? I think I agree with all the speakers. Our IDX30, our LQ45, if you look at the last 10 years, 15 years, it did not deliver what an equity fund should have delivered, given all the great story that we have about Indonesia, right? I always say that, in 25 years, today Indonesia looks much, much more exciting what it used to be. But this is not translated into return from the equity market. So I think there is a lot more work that we need to do as fund managers to create that value to the nasabah, as well as to win over their trust. So clearly there is a lot of work that needs to be done. So I would say the solution is we need government support in terms of incentivizing all the public to support these proper. So right now our GDP, it's only 4% of the AUM towards the GDP. All other countries have 25% of the GDP in the industry. So we need some special support to help guide all the new millennials to get into this industry. That would be my view. Having worked in the life insurance industry as well, there is some really good learnings I have. I think one of the beauty of the life insurance industry is they focus on solutions, correct? How do you achieve your life objective? I think one of the key things that we want to focus on will be, how can we help all the millennials to start early? How can they save regularly? So one of the key things in all other markets is a regular savings program. In India, we call it systematic investment plan, different name. But how do we promote them to regularly save and invest? And how do we keep it for the long term? Even if you have 2% better return over a 30-year, 40-year period, that really helps you to build wealth, you understand? No? So we need to help people to try out. If you have money in cash, put it in money market fund. If you have money in money market fund, put it in fixed income fund. If you have money in fixed income, put it in balance, and then equity, onshore, offshore. So we need to help them learn and build up their own asset allocation model to achieve their life objective. And that is going to make them move away from a trading concept to finding solution to their life. That is going to be a very important transition for our industry. The next interesting thing I learned is distribution infrastructure. Unfortunately, for investment manager, we don't have our own distribution infrastructure. We depend upon everybody else. I think the industry has to find ways to establish its own distribution infrastructure. Then only we can reach out to the 160 million, 200 million that we are aspiring in the next 5 to 10 year period. So these are the two areas where I'll put my money.
Thank you,
So maybe I'll go first. So, every regulation has an objective, and that objective is always a good objective, correct? Nobody is coming out with a regulation just to mess up the industry. There is always a valid reason why new regulations are coming out. But I think for every problem, we don't need to come up with new regulation to solve the problem. We need to make it a little bit more easier for the industry. Wherever there is a problem, we need to attack the problem from a regulatory perspective, but we don't need to keep adding up more and more regulatory burden, because it is becoming really, really challenging to run our business. That would be my first recommendation. The second recommendation I have is, we need to help Indonesians to diversify. So for example, in our Malaysian business, 80% of our AUM in our Malaysian business comes from offshore products. Even in Malaysia, they allow all the Malaysians to invest offshore through the fund manager. Whereas in Indonesia, we have that possibility only within Sharia, and that also has lots of practical difficulty on taxation and other issues, etc. So we need to simplify it and allow people to diversify, because Indonesian wealth belongs to Indonesia. We need to help them to grow that particular wealth, because that is what is going to support Indonesia, correct? So we need to help them to diversify, and that is another area where I would like to focus on as well. You know, right? I came to Indonesia in 1997, so this is almost 25 years for me associating with Indonesia. I have seen the 97 Asian financial crisis. I have seen the 2005 bond market crisis. I have seen the subprime crisis in 2008, then commodity market upheavals, elections. We have always gone through very, very exciting time in Indonesia. But the beauty is, in many of these crises, we thought the world is coming to an end, But if you really look back, Indonesia came back much, much more stronger. And today you look at Indonesia, I don't think so there is any other country that is looking as good as what we are today in Indonesia. So my message to the audience is very, very simple. Indonesia and Indonesians are very, very resilient. You understand now? I think that confidence needs to be there. And then the next advice will be, you need to choose your partner. It is like your marriage. The partner is going to make your life very, whatever happens in your life will be dependent upon the partner you are choosing. So the same holds good for your investment and wealth management objective as well. Do proper research, do a lot of dating, and choose the right partner so that you can have a smooth journey. That will be my parting message.